Paulie maintains this was a good week for the Raiders. What do you think?
Yeah, I heard that. I heard you guys going back and forth on that a little bit. I think long term, it's probably a good week for the Raiders because things were not going in the right direction with Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler. But man, you look at the money that Mark Davis, and who cares if you're a Raiders fan? It's not your money, but the money he has to pay Gruden's coaching staff, the money he has to pay now McDaniels' coaching staff. It's just such a shame, Dan. I mean, if you remember 2 years ago, only 2 years ago, okay, Gruden gets fired because or resigns, whatever, because of those emails. Henry Ruggs, their first-round pick, has that horrible car accident. Damon Arnett has his issue. Rich Bisaccia and Mayock, but Bisaccia was the coach. They won all those close games, Dan. They go to the playoffs. If you remember, they're in the red zone in that wild card game against the Bengals. They almost won the game. The Bengals go on to beat Tennessee, beat Kansas City. The Bengals go to the Super Bowl. All he had to do, Dan, was give Bisaccia like a 3-year deal, and it could have been a 1-year trial period. Just see if he can continue that coaching, continue that momentum. It was a small sample size, obviously, but the only sample size Bisaccia has as a head coach was fantastic. But honestly, he thought he was too good for Bisaccia. Well, he's just a special teams coach. I need to get a bigger name. I need to get a Belichick guy. I need to get McDaniels. So, careful what you wish for. What Mark Davis, this is all his doing because he thought he and the Raiders were too good for Bisaccia. Maybe he should try to bring him back, try to turn around the karma for what happened.
Yeah, but you mentioned that if you're a Raider fan, you don't care what they're paying, but it could impact what you're going to pay this next guy because you are paying Gruden and you're paying Josh McDaniels. And if you go, let's see if we can get the big ticket item, Jim Harbaugh, to be interested in this. Well, what's Harbaugh going to cost you? $15 million a year? Is he going to want a 10-year deal for $150? The fact that you're paying these other guys you might hit pause in trying to, bring in somebody, a big item.
That's a good point. But maybe they don't need to bring in like a big name or like a Harbaugh like that, right? Maybe they just bring in like the next Shane Steichen or the next D'Amico Ryans or the next young guy that, has shown some promise as a coordinator. I always think it's weird too. Like, did they really need to give Josh McDaniels like a 6-year contract, Dan, for whatever, $6.5 million a year? Where else was he going to go? I think the negotiating for coaches' contracts are crazy.
It is.
Because couldn't they have gotten somebody else who's done a good job? Like right now on your show, I will be the next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders for $2 million a year. 6-year. You know what? I'll do 4-year contract. 4-year contract, $2 million a year. Mark Davis, I will take that job.
Okay. What if they say $1.9 million?
Yep, still doing it.
Okay, all right. Man, you're a tough negotiator.